one good reason.
If you don't, I'll throw you over.
Okay, that's a good reason.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the sequels, spin-offs, reboots, and more that defile great franchises in the name of a quick buck.
Slimy, yet satisfying.
Number 20, the Fantastic Beasts series. There's no spell in all of Hogwarts capable of hiding this money-grubbing scheme. When distributor Warner Brothers ran out of mainline Harry Potter books to adapt, they looked to Fantastic Beasts and where to find them.
Now, unfortunately, you have seen far too much. If you wouldn't mind if you just stand there, this will be over in a jiffy.
For context, this spin-off is not even a real story. It's an in-universe textbook with about as many photos as words. Even worse, the film series was pitched as a 5-part franchise, but those hopes evaporated when the first Fantastic Beasts film became one of the lowest-grossing Harry Potter films to date.
Well, I'm sure people like you too, huh?
Not really, no, I annoy people.
Each successive installment grossed less and less, until the entire series got quietly cancelled altogether. Clearly, these wizards have lost their magic. Number 19, the Angry Birds movie. Back in 2016, films based on video games didn't exactly have the greatest reputation. Things like the Angry Birds movie are exactly why.
No. Look, it's okay. I'm just a clown. Oh boy, that's You're loud. You're just very scared of me.
Many felt that the near-storyless mobile game had no right filling up a 90-minute feature film, and sadly, nothing in the final product convinced them otherwise. The middling diversion felt like a cheap attempt to cash in on Angry Birds brand recognition and nothing more. Not even the energetic voice cast could salvage a movie that was obviously made for dollar signs instead of genuine craft.
Hey, look, I don't want to be here at all, but this could maybe make it a little more interesting to me.
In the end, this nose-diving feature only proved that Angry Birds should keep their hijinks to phone screens. Number 18, Sin City: A Dame to Kill For. Ironically, the biggest sin here isn't the namesake city, it's that this movie exists at all. After the breakout success of the 2005 film, the franchise spent nearly a decade on ice, before re-emerging with A Dame to Kill For.
Heads or tails?
Heads.
That's a trick.
That won't get you anywhere.
It was a critical and commercial dud, with even the most fervid fanboys calling it unnecessary. Then again, this is far from the first time Frank Miller material has struggled making the leap to the big screen. A similar fate befell The Spirit, a movie so enraptured with its comic strip origins, it forgot how to be an entertaining film.
Damn, I've got no time for this. My city screams. She needs me.
Next time, they should just leave Miller's work alone. Number 17, Dumb and Dumberer, When Harry Met Lloyd. It's not every day you see a cult favorite turn into a lame franchise in the span of a single film. When Harry Met Lloyd is just that bad. This prequel tried to buy into the goodwill of the original without anything that made it work in the first place.
No, that's impossible.
Yeah, well,
both in front of or behind the camera, Dumb and Dumberer has new writers, a new director, and most egregiously of all, new actors playing Harry and Lloyd.
Lloyd, can you do that? Oh yeah, Harry. He can, and he did. And now, it's on that donkey kong.
While the fresh cast tries their best, audiences agree that there's no point in Dumb and Dumber without Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels. Unfortunately, Studio New Line Cinema had to learn that lesson the hard way. Number 16, Blues Brothers 2000. This sequel asks a very important question. What's Blues Brothers without John Belushi? The answer is not a lot.
Is that Elwood Blues?
Yes, sir. Released yesterday.
Did you tell him about Jake?
No, sir. I thought you told him.
In fact, following Belushi's death in 1982, initial plans for a follow-up were put on indefinite hold, at least for a while. Salivating at the idea of a sequel, Universal Pictures eventually dusted off the IP and pumped out Blues Brothers 2000. Belushi's absence makes the whole thing feel pointless from the very beginning, and that's without even mentioning the cringy shock-out humor.
He's having an attack! It's his puffball bacteria! It's extremely contagious!
What?
Oh, God, run away! Oh, God!
It's a complete downgrade in just about every conceivable way. If anything, Blues Brothers 2000 reinforces the idea that the original can never be replicated. Number 15, Jason X. This slasher series should have died a long time ago. To be fair, they've tried. A couple times, actually. 1993's Jason Goes to Hell was literally dubbed The Final Friday.
Go to hell!
And it was, for all of 8 years. In a shameless attempt to wring more cash out of the series, the machete-wielding killer returned yet again for the sci-fi-leaning Jason X. While not without some fun moments, the tired routine left everyone with a feeling, been there, done that. And it has the poor box office returns to prove it.
He's coming this way.
You've got to be kidding me.
Slasher villains usually come back to life, but for the sake of Jason's dignity, he should have just stayed in hell. Number 14. Home Alone sequels. Kevin McAllister's holiday hijinks are Christmas staples for very good reason. The sequels, however, not so much. Credit where it's due, Home Alone 3 at least got a proper theatrical release.
Huh? What?
I'm back on that last message.
That's more than we can say for the 2 made-for-TV movies and the straight-to-streaming reboot on Disney+. It's a shame. Macaulay Culkin's hiatus from acting gave the franchise a chance to end on a high note with Home Alone 2.
You'll never hear from us again. Okay?
You promise?
I cross my heart and hope to die.
Okay.
But instead, these soulless follow-ups have watered down the brand into a shell of its former self. It's obvious that most viewers left with Kevin McAllister, and given what's followed, we can't even blame them. Number 13. Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. Money talks, and at the time of its release, the Blair Witch Project was doing a whole lot of talking. Distributor Artisan Entertainment wanted to fast-track a sequel while the iron was hot.
And I want to thank you all for coming on the inaugural tour of the Blair Witch Hunt.
So much so, they pushed forward without the original's production company. In layman's terms, that meant new creatives, a new cast, and an extremely tight turnaround to meet a Halloween release date. You can probably guess how it turned out.
Everyone wants to see something. I'm telling you, hysteria and delusions, they breed in situations like this.
But why are you applying rational thought to mythology? Because if people believe something enough, isn't it real?
Without a clear vision or the first film's found footage presentation, Book of Shadows failed to live up to its esteemed legacy. Not with critics, not with audiences, and not with Artisan Entertainment's wallets. Scary stuff indeed. Number 12. Hellboy. Despite how it may seem, this is Hellboy in name alone. Whether you like the premise, the source material, or the camp of the original films, this is not for you.
And they've requested your assistance with a giant problem.
Well, what's that?
Giants.
Even though he helmed the beloved earlier entries, Guillermo del Toro wasn't even offered to return as writer and director for this reboot. Without him behind the camera, original Hellboy actor Ron Perlman refused to join either. You may be asking, without them, why bother making a Hellboy movie at all? Great question!
Such power, such glorious potential. There is no reason for us to be enemies when we can be so much more.
This horrid reboot tried to wring some money out of the brand, but all it did was go down as one of the year's biggest box office bombs. Number 11. Paranormal Activity sequels. Hollywood has never found a trend they don't want to run into the ground. Case in point, Paranormal Activity.
Freezing out here. What are you doing? No clothes on.
I'm fine.
Come on.
No, I don't want to go in. Just leave me alone.
Are you okay, baby?
The first did boffo business back in 2007, but instead of looking at its novel found footage format, Paramount Pictures saw a whole lot of green in its name recognition. Like clockwork, they began churning out sequel after sequel on a near-yearly basis. The scares dried up, the story became a mess, and the shaky cam footage felt more cheap than inventive. But that didn't stop Paramount Pictures from continuing to push Paranormal Activity well beyond its expiration date.
I just want to see if there really is something here, or if I'm just crazy. Look, I'll feel better either way.
Nowadays, the franchise has officially spoiled into yet another horror has-been. Number 10. Terminator Genesis. Say what you will about the bevy of underwhelming Terminator sequels, but at least most of them have some unique ideas. Genesis, on the other hand, is basically a glorified trek through memory lane, and not even a particularly good one.
Nice night for a walk, eh?
Nice night for a walk.
Wash day tomorrow. Nothing clean, right?
Nothing clean. Right.
Yeah, I think this guy's a couple cans short of a six-pack.
Your clothes. Give them to me. Now.
While Arnold Schwarzenegger's return is certainly appreciated, the nostalgia wears off fast when you realize how little Genesis brings to the table. Instead of pushing the story forward, it goes the multiversal route in order to recreate the franchise's best moments.
Come with me if you want to live.
but in doing so, Terminator Genesis never finds a compelling reason to be. After all, if we wanted to watch a good apocalyptic film, we could just turn on T2 Judgment Day. Number 9. The Hobbit Trilogy. Appendices or not, J.R.R. Tolkien's prequel to The Lord of the Rings is a pretty brief story. Not that Studio Warner Brothers cared when it came to their big screen cash cow.
If this is some lothead's idea of a joke, I can only say it is in very poor taste.
Director Peter Jackson can defend the choice all he wants, but there's absolutely no reason a 300-page book needed to be 3 feature-length films. Well, no reason except Warner Brothers' wallet. Look, we aren't saying the Hobbit movies are bad by any stretch of the word.
Something made of gold, but far more precious. There you are, thief.
But you have to admit one thing, if Warner Brothers really cared about the source material, this bloated franchise would have been as short as an actual Hobbit. Number 8. Independence Day Resurgence. In 1996, the White House exploded on movie screens with trailblazing results. But that's a bit of a misnomer. Amid the alien invasion, the secret ingredient to Independence Day's success was the burgeoning star power of Will Smith.
Welcome to Earth.
Unfortunately, Resurgence forgot that part of the recipe. Some rumors allege that Smith was deemed too expensive to get back, and if that's true, it just goes to show where the studio's priorities really were.
Maybe it could work again.
Without Smith's leading man charm, all you're left with is another generic action film that just so happens to have a classic film's name slapped on top. It's really no wonder Resurgence underperformed. Number 7. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. You'd be forgiven for thinking that Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade was, well, Indiana Jones' Last Crusade. But never underestimate how much studios love a franchise. In the name of some pocket change, Indy came out of retirement in 2008 for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Name's Mutt. Mutt Williams.
Mutt?
Yeah.
What kind of name is that?
It's the one I picked. You got a problem with it?
Take it easy.
To say it was underwhelming would be putting it lightly. It shamelessly relived the characters' glory days without meaningfully adding to them in any way. The worst part is that the studios didn't even learn their lesson.
Not like you did any better.
Same old, same old.
15 years later, they got Harrison Ford back yet again for another flimsy follow-up, Dial of Destiny. Some advice, just let Indy retire already. Number 6. Space Jam: A New Legacy. From the moment Michael Jordan refused to come back, Warner Brothers should have taken the hint and let Space Jam rest as a fantastic standalone work. But no, they just had to turn it into a film series. Coming in over 20 years after the original, A New Legacy doesn't even try to shake things up.
We're done running tests on your Badger thing. It turns out his condition is irreversible. I'll never erase what I saw from my brain. He's your problem now, dum-dum!
It's the same rehashed routine as the first, but this time, delivered without any shred of wit or humor. Plus, with all due respect to LeBron James, he simply can't dribble a ball to Michael Jordan in the acting department.
You gotta be kidding me.
Poetically, all A New Legacy did was ensure that Space Jam's reputation is now a glass half empty. Number 5. The Lion King. Live action, animated, whatever. The real issue here is why anyone thought we needed another version of The Lion King in the first place.
Everything the light touches is our kingdom.
You ruled all of that?
Yes, but a king's time as ruler rises and falls like the sun.
Simba's quest to reclaim his pride is a timeless story that holds up to this day. It didn't need a remake, especially one with a distinctive lack of new ideas. Admittedly, 2019's The Lion King is a tour de force of visual effects, but its commitment to realism also robs the characters of the charm and personality they had in the original. Too different to satisfy, but too safe to stand on its own. The Lion King remake feels like it was made for all the wrong reasons. Number 4. Ace Ventura Jr. Pet Detective. Another classic comedy flick, another sequel that recast Jim Carrey. You'd think Hollywood would have learned their lesson after When Harry Met Lloyd, but despite that, they still barreled ahead with another Ace Ventura film that doesn't include the Ace Ventura we all know and love.
This was a dumb idea!
Instead of Carrey's delightful unhinged antics, this made-for-TV special introduces his son, named, you guessed it, Ace Ventura Jr. The movie doesn't get any more clever than that. It's not funny, it's not entertaining, and it's not a good Ace Ventura film. There hasn't been much headway on a proper follow-up, but here's hoping that Cartoon Network's sleazy use of the brand hasn't actually destroyed it for good. Number 3. Son of the Mask. Jim Carrey brought this title character to life in a classic 90s comedy before getting recast in the maligned sequel. Wait, is there an echo in here? Yes, once again, Jim Carrey left a franchise and it went down in flames. In this case, they pivoted to the Mask's never-before-mentioned son, played by Jamie Kennedy.
Don't you just love Halloween? Trick or treat.
And just like every other Carrey-less sequel in existence, it's a total train wreck of a movie. Kennedy himself has since gone on the record lambasting the final cut and laying the blame on the studio's rewrites. But even if Son of the Mask was genuinely great, the lack of Jim Carrey would still make it a money-grubbing misfire. Number 2. Jaws the Revenge. At this point, when they say to get out of the water, they're talking to studio executives.
I don't know what he thinks. I don't know what I think. I don't know why we're even talking about this. This is so silly. I mean, I feel too old to be in this thing.
Never once to leave money on the table, they took Steven Spielberg's industry-defining blockbuster and turned it into a parody of itself. Just look at Jaws 3D, a movie so bad, it's flat out ignored in the fourth film's continuity. That's not to say Jaws the Revenge is any better. It was cobbled together in just 9 months to meet a summer release date, and boy can you tell.
Michael, what's going on? Michael, can you hear me? Michael! Michael, can you hear me?
The story practically falls apart on screen, only to be stitched back together by more nonsensical shark attacks. Jaws deserved better than to go out like this.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Speed 2 Cruise Control. You'd think that Speed's gimmicky concept wouldn't lend itself to follow-ups, but this is Hollywood we're talking about, and they weren't going to let something as silly as story integrity stop them. Speed 2 Cruise Control moves the action from a high-speed bus to an ocean liner, with the pacing to match.
I'm really, truly excited about being on a cruise ship. I don't know why.
There's no Keanu Reeves, no edge-of-your-seat thrills, and no reason to watch. It's glaringly evident that there was only one thing on anyone's mind when filming this, and it wasn't making a good movie. As a result, Cruise Control is considered not only one of the worst sequels ever made, but one of the worst movies, period. So much for a franchise, huh?
I didn't think I was gonna make it there for a second.
What's the worst cash grab you've ever seen in theaters? Let us know so we can give our sympathies in the comments below.
Wow! Well, look at you! You're just a little outlaw, ain't ya?
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.